Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside. My co-host today will be saying nothing.
I don't understand what you're waiting for me to do.
Literally anything? This is the part where we talk and then people listen to us talk. It's really funny if I just talk to myself the whole time. That's fine. Anyway. It is interesting that now whatever narrative the interloper is telling us appears to be important enough that it's no longer acceptable to miss it. You know what I mean? The other thing I was thinking of is that there was a little detail about the interloper bringing Alex from Heathrow. This was not the first time she's done this. Specifically gotten someone from Heathrow out to Linbarrow specifically using this one gentleman as their ride. Alex is not the first person to come chasing this that the interloper is interested in. And I think that's important and worth noting because who else is going there and why? Why is she so invested in getting people there?
Is the interloper real?
Is the interloper real?
It's so convenient that this person would just happen to show up in all of these places and immediately have everything work out, but also everybody else is like, oh, who was that? I don't know that person.
They didn't see a person or they didn't remember her?
I didn't say they didn't see her, but it doesn't line up with what she's allegedly said about, oh, I know this person, they've helped me out, etc. Yeah. I really have to wonder, like, those two accounts are probably not both true, right? So,
right. So I'm feeling that our interloper is is pasting over some things with some polite lies for Alex's sake.
Or not real. In that case, how does Alex get a ride? If the interloper isn't real and didn't cause that to happen, how did that happen? Alex did or somebody else did. We're willing to doubt one narrator, why not doubt the other?
I'm not saying we can't doubt them. I'm just saying that then we have the question of why Alex gets in a car with a total stranger and who just happens to be going where Alex needs to go.
We happen to get that question either way.
Hear me out. Some kind of being of storytelling.
I see.
This interloper. They also call themselves, a dandy, and what was the other word they used to describe themselves?
Was it a flaneur?
A flaneur. I like interloper more, but flaneur is also a great one. I like interloper because they are interrupting our story very rudely here and insisting we see all these VHS tapes with something else. But, they seem to exist in some level of the narrative where they are aware of both what narrative Hedwig is telling to this person here and also of us, the people reading that.
That's an interesting phrase, level of the narrative. So we're already on metafiction multi-layers of...
I don't know if it's about itself yet, but it is. Well, I mean, this has been the case since the last one. She addressed the audience directly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She's like, oh, well, now that didn't happen, did it? Why don't you take a look at this? And she's already been addressing us directly in ways that Hedwig hasn't. Although Hedwig has been addressing whomever she's talking to. Right? Maybe there's some ambiguity there. Like, are we the audience, the people she's talking to, and not just some person in the 1400s? But I'm off on a tangent now. I've been thinking about this lady for a while, and she needs a haircut real bad. Crowdfund to get this interloper a haircut so she can see things. Oh, wait, I thought you were someone different the whole time. I'm so sorry. I couldn't see with this gigantic bush in my face.
Phrasing.
I said what I said. Ah. Wow, that was a great mouth sound to start with.
Yeah?
Ah, you're back. Prompt. Perhaps a little too prompt. Prompt. No, I don't understand that prompt. Please try rephrasing it in a different manner. It is rather early. I am ready, I think, to continue. I slept well, thank you for asking. Did you bring me any wine? Good. I don't have wine, but I do have La Fin du Monde, which is a pretty good beer, so that'll do for us. Pass it on through. Now, where did I leave off exactly? Oh, yes. I was leaning against the railing, contemplating my life after a dramatic exchange next to the bonfire.
Sister Hedwig.
I remember waiting on the landing for a while, sniffling like a foolish child. I am quite well, I assure you.
No, you are not. I must apologize. I felt like we might have known enough about each other.
She approached me with a look of grave concern. I scarcely know you, and I'm not certain I'll ever know anyone enough for whatever that was.
I can see that it was far too much for you.
For me? For anyone, Adela? You have much to atone for if that sort of thing is a regular activity for you.
Sister Hedwig.
Is this common? Is this expected here?
Expected is such an odd word to use. Nothing is expected of you, Hedwig. I find you rather sweet.
Aww.
And wanted to express such.
Oh, as flattered as I am to hear that, but perhaps words could suffice for now.
I understand. I will never put you in that position again, Sister Hedwig.
What is this? Cantiche? Or anyone! Hedwig, that's not... I think Adela will disagree with you on this point. She cackled in a manner I had never heard from her before.
I respect you, Sister Hedwig, but you are not my mother.
I was not prepared to argue with her. I knew, as I had recently alluded to, that I could not quote specific scripture to make my argument. But by God, I could rebut any selfish, worldly, Gnostic, or otherwise hedonistic offense she could muster. I don't know. Should we be touching each other so affectionately? With such intent? Is it holy?
I do not care.
Any offense but that. Yeah, it's hard to argue with someone when they do not agree with the axioms you're starting with, right? What?
I do not care, Sister Hedwig. Do you think I am worried about hell?
Adela!
I am mortified that I upset you, but that is where my shame ends. You are in the real world, Sister Hedwig, and people have wants and needs.
But just because you want something...
Do you not think I am capable of managing my desires? I want so much more than to touch knees, Hedwig. I want a different life. I could walk right out of the Abbey tomorrow if I thought it was a good idea, but I do not. I am here because, unfortunately, it is the best place for me to be right now. I have important work to do.
The sherry? The sherry? You're not talking about the sherry, are you, Adela?
It's funny if she is, though.
It's really funny if she is talking about the sherry, but I don't think she's talking about the sherry for some reason.
I have sherry to make.
All right. See you, everyone. Have a good night. Put that one in the compilation of every time SK preempts a sentence by exactly one line.
And I do believe in God strongly enough to have taken my vows willingly.
But
I do more work in God's name than most everyone on earth. Everyone here does, Sister Hedwig. And so does everyone in monastic service. When my time comes, I can only hope my devotion speaks for itself. If a few liaisons set me back, so be it. But I am not wanton. I have done the calculus, and I would expect you to know better than to judge me.
Real good place, bad place vibes here. Like, okay, if I do enough of work for the Lord, I can get away with having a homosexual fling maybe once a season. As she said, she's done the calculus. Adela has run the numbers on this, and she is confident that she is still going to wind up in the good place. And I, you know what? I respect that.
The math checks out. 1 barrel of decent sherry in the monastery basement equals 1 lesbian fling.
There you go. And I like Adela's point here.
You know who the only one who may judge us is.
And I love this. It's not that even like she is here against her will and doesn't believe in this God and is therefore not beholden to whatever their standards of morality is. She absolutely does and is here willingly. And by her own admission is like, yeah, you know, I do believe that, you know, that what waits us afterwards. And I'm still going to do this. I felt thoroughly rinsed. Hedwig watched. No longer fit to be anchoress. Perhaps I could have argued, but I had no energy to. And I had a humiliating desire deep within myself to agree. Join us, Sister Hedwig. To let go of my pretensions. To lay on the floor and invite Sister Adela to get on with it. I would have liked nothing more, truth be told. And it made me feel ill. All I could do was maintain my shape. I had to be Sister Hedwig. I had to be pious, self-righteous, and a little stupid. You have to be Hedwig, huh? Again, I know last time we threw out is Hedwig as just kind of like a swing for the fences type thing. But, I don't know. I think that's worth framing for a little bit and just kind of seeing how we feel about this. Black bile poured into a woman-shaped mold, in danger of melting in the daylight. If I gave in to my basest desires, as Adela had convinced herself was fair, I would cease to be anything at all. And also in Hedwig's point, like, she has, and she's talked about this at length, like, compromised increasingly large portions of her devotion and faith, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what she was doing, and I could see her, like, at some point want to be like, no, I need to draw a line, otherwise, like, you know, what is there left of that? What did that mean if I can give it up so easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I find it hard to argue with her point of view on that, given that she was the one who was allowed to do that for 24 hours a day, right? She got to do it so everyone else could get on with it. But I felt so strongly that if I allowed myself to be touched in that manner, I would fall apart, and the pieces would reform into something bestial. No longer the woman Hedwig, but a nameless animal who would eat anything put in front of it and bounce from desire to desire with no guilt or shame. One other thing I keep talking and interrupting, I'm sorry, but it is interesting that Hedwig seems in addition to all that, Hedwig also seems like, and if I just let myself go that one time, then I don't trust myself to not just... She doesn't seem to believe strongly in her own convictions, in the sense that she doesn't believe her own convictions are strong enough to save her from temptation. You know what I mean? And that's really interesting. She sees it as kind of a slippery slope. She does see it as a source of temptation, right? She sees something worth doing in it. And yet... you are confusing, Hedwig, and I enjoy getting in your head. No soul. Just pleasure. Just sin. I don't know. I think Adela has a more reasonable relationship with sin than Hedwig does. Adela's like, yeah, we're people, we're imperfect, we sometimes sin, and that doesn't make me a bad person on the whole. I can do this and not feel like I've lost my faith. Whereas Hedwig, again, feels like the moment she does it, then that's it for her. She doesn't trust her. She's not as strong as Adela in her ability to manage those parts of her desires.
I am sorry, Sister Hedwig. I should not have been so rude. I know you did not mean any insult. I should be apologizing to you as I intended to in the first place.
Don't mention it.
We can put this behind us?
Of course. I won't judge you for your proclivities. I must rest. I have had a long and strange day.
I understand.
I felt the need to soften the blow of our argument. It is embarrassing, truly, how readily I relaxed. You know, you weren't the first to touch me today.
No?
No. Someone else saw me disrobed as well.
She raised an eyebrow, looking rather unsure of herself.
Okay.
All right, hold on.
She raised an eyebrow, looking rather unsure of herself, and I relished it.
Oh? Then, wait. Who bested me?
Darcy. Though it really was an accident. And then Catherine with a K caught me naked after that. Again, an accident.
A long and strange day indeed. Well, if you do not mind my saying so, I suppose I must hope to one day stumble into such an accident myself.
What? Oh.
Is that the first time Hedwig in the narrative has done that little hee-hee?
Maybe. I am going to rejoin the others.
What?
See you tomorrow, Sister Hedwig.
Goodbye, Sister Adela. I apologize. Discussing this is difficult for me. I suppose it isn't going to get any easier now, is it? Excuse me, I must retrieve my cup. I dropped it. Ah. There we are. I suppose I have a small reprieve now. But because, as I watched Adela disappear down the stairs, I resolved myself to get some real work done. I dashed to my dorm room to open my new workbook. I closed my door and hastily procured a quill and ink from the writing desk drawer. If I had disappointed God by letting my guard down around these women, I would please him by showing him true commitment to my calling, here and now. There's a bear with her! No wonder Angela's so afraid. I flipped to the first blank pages and spread the book flat on the desk and got to work. It was time to start committing things to ink so I could not forget them. I copied the same map I had drawn previously, but this time I began adding little figures around the abbey. It was time to work out exactly what had happened the morning of Catherine with a C's murderer. The morning Catherine with a C's murder was discovered. Oh, this is good, because we have some notes from, and we talked about this in our discussion episode. Mm-hmm. We have testimony from various people about the goings-on and where people went and didn't and such. But we never had, a map to kind of put it all together, so it'll be interesting to see what Hedwig makes of this. Especially considering that some of the testimony she has is contradictory.
Yeah.
Charity discovered her first. Angela and the superior were having a meeting in the office. They would have been alerted by Sister Charity. The superior roused Moira and Eustace first, while Angela began searching for the culprit. And then Eustace and Moira carried the body into the chapel to be examined. James had arrived to make deliveries that morning and would have been in Sister Catherine with the K's bedroom at the time. But then, Angela did find him hiding later. So, Darcy saw a fire, was attending to a fire? Or was that Eustace? I frowned. I was already beginning to forget critical details. I don't have that right in front of me, but we could go back and check it.
I believe it was Darcy.
Darcy, who had tended to the fire?
Who had seen a fire.
Seen a fire.
And had to go deal with it.
Got it. Determined to make progress, I revisited the notes I had just written. Charity discovered her first. Simple enough to confirm, I supposed. I made a note to ask Charity about it directly. Angela and the superior were having a meeting in the office. What had they done when Charity alerted them? So this is where we get two different things, because Eustace also was like, no one had thought to alert them, so if I recall what she was correctly, or what she said. And then I realized, was it Charity who alerted them? If I could confirm that, it would confirm Charity's story. Simple connections I could build a bridge to the truth out of. The superior roused Moira and Eustace first, while Angela began searching for the culprit. Is that what happened? I could ask Moira and Eustace how they heard the news. And then Eustace and Moira carried the body into the chapel to be examined. I could ask about that too, I suppose. I furrowed my brow. I'd have to ask Catherine with the K about James as well. I was losing concentration quickly. And worse, I was beginning to develop a sinking feeling that I was walking in circles right back to where I had started the minute I left my cell. How could I ask any of these questions without tripping everyone off to exactly what I was doing? I don't know. That is a great question. How do you go about doing that? Thoughts? How would you go about it?
I don't know. I'm not very good at subtlety.
Nobody completed the Chronicle on the day of Catherine with the C's death. It's my job to make sure to go back and fulfill it out as best I can to the best of my standards. And to that, I just need to ask people, how things went that morning.
Clever. I like it.
And she has thrown herself into her chronicling work, so
yeah.
It's like better not to have a day missed.
You said thrown herself into her chronicling work, and the immediate mental image I had was of Hedwig just ragdolling into a stack of books.
Like Gmod?
Yeah.
Just
Hedwig just being thrown into her work.
Watch it. Who could I trust to answer these inquiries in good faith? I groaned aloud and slammed my quill onto the desk. This was my lot in life. To do a lot of work and achieve nothing at all. She's really developed a real cynicism towards her time as an anchoress, hasn't she? To work. This is her lot. Like, what did she just say? This is my lot in life, to work so hard and achieve nothing at all. This was her lot in life.
Did she think she achieved nothing as an anchoress, or is this her lot in life now?
She's not saying that this... I don't know. Just the way she's phrased it seemed a bit odd to me. Because it's not being like, oh, this is how things had been since I left my cell. Ever since I broke my covenant, now I've been doing a lot of work without achieving anything. She says this is her lot in life, as if this has been a typical thing. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it, I admit, but I'm just curious about her word choices. Was there really no foothold I could find? I consider my questions and notes once more. Eustace had already determined exactly what my goal was. It would have put her guard up, and she would be upset that I had broken my promise to her. but I could at least ask her these questions without giving myself away. Or perhaps I need not break any more promises. Eustace had asked for 1 week. I could at least appear to honor that for Eustace. And in the meantime, I could employ subterfuge to ask some of these other questions. How long until Hedwig convinces herself it's a good idea to sleep with another one of the sisters to get answers to the questions she wants?
And definitely for that reason only, and not any other reasons.
And definitely for that reason. Yeah, exactly. Like that's notice convinced herself. Ay.
Catherine with a C meant so much to everyone here. Surely I could find a way to innocently get this information out of my peers without seeming nosy. I cared about Catherine with a C just as much as they did. She had come to my hagioscope many times. I assume, having never seen her and only heard her voice. And noting that I also cannot discern voices. Her loss moved me just as much as it had moved them. 1 week. 1 more week of dishonesty, of white lies and prying questions. And then I could ask Eustace directly about whatever contradictions I had discovered. Feeling somewhat satisfied, I sighed and closed the book. It had been a long day, and I was still reeling from Adela's touch. I stood up to strip for bed and fell onto my pillow. 1 week. 1 more week of calculated sin.
She's already started buying into Adela's little. I see how this is gonna go. Suddenly, I'm now understanding where a lot of these very tasteful bush shots are gonna come from.
Very prestige drama.
Could manage that.
Trying to think of a prestige drama I've actually watched that had that much nudity in it, and to be honest, I don't think I have.
I can't, but I also don't know what's in prestige dramas also.
Yeah.
What? The Wire? Is that?
See, that's the thing,
only
is that, like,
one
I'm
I can
thinking about
think of.
The Wire.
That's literally the only one I can think of that I've watched.
But also, like, I don't remember if there were any. I was about to say I don't remember if there was any kind of nudity in it, but then I guess that also speaks to it because it wouldn't have felt shoehorned, right? They just got, listen, we got a big actress to play Hedwig. We've got, we got her signed off on it. It would be a waste if we didn't have her show her tits in 4K.
Hedwig?
Sorry, my first reaction to anything in the morning is just to scream at being alive.
Did you have a fun night with Eustace? I wasn't sure how late you stayed up, so I just wanted to collect you for service.
Does Moira think we banged Eustace?
No, Moira thought we went out for fish with Eustace. But then maybe also thought we banged Eustace after that.
I mean, clearly that's what was going on anyway.
But well, in Eustace's defense, that wasn't the original intent.
Yeah.
Darcy showed up and reconciled.
Mm-hmm.
And Eustace is like, okay, well. And then Adela was wingmanning and thought, oh, this is a good opportunity.
Thank you. I leapt out of bed and dressed quickly, and then joined Moira in the dorm hall. We started walking down toward the chapel. It was a bright, crisp morning. The others were slightly ahead of us. How was the Misericorde last night?
Rather boring, to tell you the truth. Or not boring, I suppose, but without Adela there to be competitive, the chess was a bit staid. Catherine got very drunk and started complaining about how good things used to be. And Charity and Marta kept to themselves in the corner the whole evening. I got stuck listening to Flora talk about Inferno again. How about you? I wish I could have had some fish, to be honest. I love a bit of fresh, fatty bream.
Moira Bream! It was pleasant.
Hedwig.
What's that? Is that the first time we've seen that Moira face?
I think so.
Oh, that's so good. Does every other nun think Hedwig is so uptight someone has to go screw her so she can let loose and calm down for once? Seriously?
Hedwig, you sound evasive.
Do I? I am just tired.
Very well.
What are we giggling about? Moira, you know I can't do subtext. We arrived at the chapel. It was actually something of a relief to see the superior back up at the pulpit after the tumult of the last few days.
And where is, Bishop?
The bishop.
I could not be too relaxed, however.
The bishop, short for Bishonen Up.
Bishonen Up, the hit magazine.
Adela shot me a knowing smile when our gazes met across the aisle, and the glint of Flora's metal boot kept getting me in my eyes as the sun moved across the windows. The bishop, too, was seated for service. He looked rather bored, but perked up when things concluded.
Even the bishop is like, better things to do.
Now then, these have been a stressful handful of days, but I believe in second chances and moving forward as a family. And what better way for a family to bond than to welcome new members? Sometime today, should the last letter I received be marking time accurately, 2 new oblates will be arriving. I expect you all to make them feel welcomed and help them integrate into our little abbey. While I would normally say, show them how we do things here, I think you all know that the way things are done here could be vastly improved. So I will ask you all humbly, do not settle for your worst. Let us consider this an opportunity to set an example, not just for our new sisters, but for ourselves. We can show them how things should be done here, and how they will be done here. Do you all understand?
As per usual, a mildly agreeable murmur went around the room.
Very good.
She gestured to the bishop, who stood up to take the pulpit.
I would like to thank you all for welcoming to your home, as always.
Did I do Richard? I feel like I probably did.
Yeah.
Visiting Linbarrow is a unique pleasure that cannot be overstated.
I heard a stifled chortle. Catherine with a K and Margaret were elbowing each other.
There is, of course, a sense of tragedy hanging over this visit. The loss of one sister, Catherine with a C, who was, of course, an indispensable and cherished member of this congregation.
Notice how I'm trying to do the jowl, but make it still able to be heard.
Yeah.
I'm working hard for all of you, okay? I'm working hard.
I have been in talks with your superior, the diocese, and some anonymous benefactors. And I'm delighted to announce that we'll finally be able to perform some renovations to the Abbey ground.
Another murmur.
This is a lovely place, but it is a touch drafty. Is it not?
It is, after that hole got put in the wall.
It certainly is drafty now.
No one else. That hole wasn't there before, right? I wasn't going crazy about that.
I mean, assuredly it couldn't have been if the symbol was there.
Right.
Crumbling walls, aged paths, unfinished additions to the campus. But most of all, I am thrilled to share that I've secured the funds to not only finish and repair this place. The diocese has agreed to fund the repair and completion of the ill-fated clock tower that currently lies in ruins next to this chapel.
Why? You had to discuss. The diocese has agreed to fund and repair the completion of the ill-fated clock tower. So what is the clock tower actually for, then?
The clock.
It's not.
It's for hubris.
No one is... Okay, but that's... Okay. I'm okay with that being the answer, but that's different than... That's fine. Is it just hubris? If it's just hubris, I could accept that, and then I don't have to believe it might be covering up something else.
Did you hear an important 2 words he said a couple lines ago?
Anonymous benefactors?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I caught that.
So probably some sort of negotiation.
Because
why else would an anonymous...
the rich people keep their wine here and their suits of armor?
Yeah, why else would an anonymous benefactor suddenly be like, oh yeah, let's talk with the diocese, let's talk with the bishop, yeah, let's fund this useless crumbled clock tower.
So what is the anonymous benefactor? So then what we really need to be asking is, what does the anonymous benefactor want out of this?
Indeed.
And who are they and what are they? Are they just like hoping to get a clock tower the size of their dick so they can jack off better? Or are they hoping to use this money to make the abbey useful to them in a particular way?
Or does the clock tower and money have nothing to do with that? They are giving it in exchange for a thing. We already know a reason that someone might want something of the abbey and might want to be anonymous, right?
True. They might need somewhere to lay low.
Yeah.
That is a very good point. I guess we should address that. There is always the chance that one of the people we meet is our handsome gentleman here.
Indeed.
You know, barring a little gender. A little gender never stopped no one. There was a horrible sound of wood scraping on stone as Eustace shot upward onto her feet so violently it moved the whole pew.
Sister, Eustace, was it?
Nothing. That is just excellent news.
Yes. Explain to the diocese and our financier that the clock tower would be a wonderful way to honor your departed sister Catherine with a sir. I hear she was quite passionate about the first project. Perhaps you can name the new one for her in order to preserve her memory. As for her killer, he will be returning with me to the diocese to await his punishment. As the superior told you, I think this is a wonderful opportunity for a new beginning. New oblats, a round of repairs on the abbey. Truly, this place could shine as a beacon on the mountain for all travelers who pass through the cold north. I am looking forward to this place not becoming haunted in the future.
Eustace's hand shot up.
Sister Eustace?
That is a very good point. It is rather late in the year to be starting construction work, is it not?
It is indeed. Luckily, our benefactors have graciously paid for a new stone to be cut and transported here, and for labor costs. With any luck, the tower will be completed before any snow begins.
Now this seems weird again. That's a bizarre hurry to build a clock tower.
Now we're back to weird, right?
Why would you be in such a hurry to build a clock? Just build it next year.
Exactly. So there's something else important here, right? The clock tower isn't a clock tower, right? And like, it may well be a clock tower, but that doesn't change the fact that the clock tower isn't a clock tower.
Did you notice one of the things he said that seemed off about the clock tower?
That they're dedicating it to Catherine with a C, and supposedly this was a project she was very invested in.
Yeah, was she? We know someone who was really invested in it, but it wasn't Catherine, right?
Do we know someone who was invested in it?
Wasn't it the superior?
Right. The superior was invested in it.
Yeah,
Catherine with the C wasn't, as far as no one's ever said anything about her in relation to the clock tower. And in fact, given her letters to the King of France, I might suspect she would think it a waste of money. And also, they're building this tower in like a month? What? Jesus Christ. Right, so we're going to put that to the side for now, but it's on our radar.
That is absurd.
But it is extremely generous, yes. They're prepared to work through inclement weather as well.
Surely it is already too cold for limestone.
But assured the workers will know what to do to get the tower erected quickly.
Workers?
Well, of course.
Where are they going to stay?
Why do you need to know, Catherine?
They'll be making camp outside the abbey.
I vehemently disagreed with this decision.
The bishop looked toward the superior, confused.
I'm well aware that nobody enjoyed having workers interrupting our daily lives. Catherine did, if I recall.
Angela! What bee is in your bonnet today? Are you just annoyed that Catherine got to see Hedwig's tits?
Why is it that you disagree with this decision so vehemently? Upset that Catherine, too, gets a building named after her before you? How many laborers are you hoping to host in your bedroom? Will you run through them one at a time, or pick just one to keep as a pet?
Jesus, they are just in the open about this. Angela picked this fight, right?
Yeah.
What on earth is irking her today?
I mean, to be fair, she picks a fight with Catherine every time they exist in the same, 20-meter radius.
Yeah, I guess. Angela, come on, what is...
Zero chill.
Yeah, but I mean, I get that they don't like each other, but Angela started this fight. Why? Again.
Do people generally start fights like this for good reasons?
People will generally start fights if there's something in particular on their mind or some wrong they're ruminating over. Is Angela just pissed at the idea that Catherine gets to get laid? Or is Angela angry about something specific? Because, I don't know, choosing to pick a fight in front of the bishop, in front of all the other nuns and the Mother Superior, that's not just we don't get along. That's I want to fight with you and I want everyone to see it. Right? That there's a different valence to that. Catherine with a K stood up, but the superior and the bishop shouted in unison.
Fair enough. I must admit I am surprised by this reaction.
I really think this is a bad idea. It's too cold to build anything right now. You should at least wait until after the snow melts.
And let it also not go unremarked that Eustace seems to understand this clock tower to mean something else.
Does she?
I don't think if she was just this is a stupid idea, then she'd say this is a stupid idea, but ultimately it doesn't affect her, so whatever.
I mean, would she? She's talking to the bishop.
She is, but she's also arguing very vehemently against a decision that has already been made.
Is she arguing very vehemently?
Yeah, she keeps the way in which she's having her conversation is she wants to keep. She's not letting this go. It's standing up to the bishop and when he's announcing it in front of everyone is not a way to lodge a logistical complaint with the project that's being happened. Again, that is a way to be I have a strong reaction to this. And I don't think it's a reaction that's explained by only just, I think it's a silly idea. I think Eustace understands the clock tower to mean that something else will be happening as well. Or in her mind, it's associated with something else. And that something else is what she is worried about.
Making them work through the worst of winter would be inhumane.
I raised my own hand.
Sister, Hedwig, I wasn't anticipating taking questions today. This is... most sermons do not come with a question and answer period.
When will you be leaving with James?
Oh, well, I'll be sticking around to administer communion with the new oblates to see they settle in. A week, I'd hazard. Why do you ask?
No reason. Nailed it. Nailed it, Hedwig. No one noticed a thing. I could feel eyes burning the back of my neck. I just want to pray for him. That's all. The bishop nodded sagely.
Should be all.
That was that then. God was determined to make sure I held to my promise. A week of subterfuge. I squirmed in my seat, pretending to stretch so as not to look too obvious.
Hedwig, I can see you. Hedwig!
Eustace was still looking at me from across the chapel. Her expression was blank as ever.
Can only hope that my explanation had satisfied her. She knew what I was really up to, but she also knew that I was devout. She found me pious to a fault, in fact. I felt a little faint, realizing that I had now had an even harder deadline. As I turned to face the front again, I caught Angela's eye. I nodded as gently as I could. Loath as I was to associate with her, Angela was the only ally I had. Turning away, I couldn't help but lament how much both women's gazes bothered me. Why did people only ever look at me when something was wrong? Service ended, and we all filed out of the chapel. The wind was picking up, and it was beginning to rain. I had work to do in the library, of course, but I could think in there. Of course, I would need to be aware of Eustace sitting directly across from me. I fretted silently as I walked through the cloister with the others. One by one and two by two, individuals and pairs broke off from the gaggle and left to complete their meager tasks for the day. I tried to keep track of where everyone was going, even though I would have no way to know where they would end up when they left my sight. Charity and Marta took to their chairs in the cloister. Adela headed to the cellars. Darcy toward the kitchens. Catherine with the K and Margaret to the garden. Moira skipped ahead of us up the stairs. And the bishop and the superior to her office. Eustace, meanwhile, was busy wheeling Flora backward up the stairs as I passed her. I saw Moira disappear into the dorms and then realized.
I warn you, Flora. This'll be a bit boring.
What isn't round here?
Fair enough.
Flora will be joining us in the library?
Yeah, it's our turn.
Don't sound too excited.
It's no problem.
Actually, you know what? This is probably the best place for Flora to be. Hand her a book and let her go to town. Right? Like, seriously, she loves fucking epics, right? Give her... I don't know. What other things are people reading these days?
She opened the door and awkwardly dragged Flora's wheelbarrow inside.
Just know, we are going to be working quietly.
Yeah. I'll keep to myself. I'll just read some.
Yeah.
I took to my seat. Eustace maneuvered Flora between our two desks.
Can't you put me a bit further in? What am I supposed to do sitting here?
Tell me what you want to read, and I'll go find it for you.
I was already having trouble focusing on anything.
I don't know that kind of thing off the top of my head.
All right, well, think of something.
Just put me a bit further in.
No, you'll knock something over.
I'll be a real pest if I don't find something to read.
Eustace rolled her eyes and jerked the handles of the barrow back up. She pushed Flora closer to the specialty shelf I remember being shown on my first tour of the library.
Surely there's enough there to keep you occupied.
Better than nothing, I suppose.
Thank goodness for that.
She plopped the barrow back down and slumped into her chair. I could sense that she was unhappy with how close Flora was to her work. That made two of us, I suppose. I bristled, thinking back to the one mystery I had managed to solve around here. I opened my chronicles and tried to set to work. I realized that, given we had taken a holiday in between, I had a tall order to fill, recounting the day that put Flora in that wheelbarrow. Was it proper to out Flora as the one who summoned the devil? Should the details be mentioned at all? I wonder if in the future it's thought of as haunted based on Hedwig's Chronicles. Oh,
fun if true.
That's juicy.
I struggled with these questions for a while, idly twirling my quill in hand. Flora was still bothering Eustace on the other side of the room.
Knock it off.
These all look boring.
Well, that's a problem with your taste, isn't it? Pick something. Explore something new.
All the good stuff is further in the back, I reckon.
Is Flora working with Hedwig to try to see more of the library? Flora's just been a very useful pain in the ass towards some of the mysteries Hedwig has recently. And I just gotta wonder if that's on purpose or just happy circumstance.
Do you still have that book, Scapulomancy?
No.
Curiosity got the better of me. I could not help myself. Anything with Mancy appended to it got me rather worried. What is that?
Magic you can do with a scapula.
Huh. And what is that?
It's a bone, Hedwig.
Sort of a big triangle in your back. The Greeks used to tell the future with them or something. I never got to read much about it.
Well, thank goodness for that. I don't believe we should have any books on such a subject.
Well, you're in luck then. We do not.
We used to.
We shouldn't have.
I quite agreed.
Not sure what you're fussing about. It's just interesting, that's all. Adela has her tarot cards.
As much as I disapprove of those, they are at least not made of bone.
Quiet, please. I am rather busy.
What are you working on? I could help.
I do not need any help.
What about you, Hedwig?
Huh? Flora was shouting at me from the spot Eustace had parked her wheelbarrow.
What are you working on? You're the chronicler now, right?
Yes?
What are you writing about today?
I haven't decided yet.
Fortunately, you shouldn't have to decide anything. Just describe what happened. That's your job.
So it is.
Are you going to write about, my leg?
Well, she should, because it happened.
I'll certainly be covering your leg injury, yes.
What are you going to write about it?
That your leg got caught in a door due to the harsh winds.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that about sums it up.
Indeed.
Yes.
Any other details?
What other details could there possibly be?
Well, I'll be sure to include our ingenious workshop camaraderie.
Wonderful.
Well, what about yesterday then? A bit of a blank, that one, innit? We had a holiday.
I imagine she'll just write that we had a holiday then. Correct, Hedwig?
Yeah. There was so much I could have written about, but it would likely have drained my life's essence to put it to paper. I was grateful for Eustace's terseness for once.
Sounds like an easy job, to be honest. What do you do all day when you're not chronicling?
Don't be nosy.
I suppose I just flit about and see if anyone needs my help. Potential devil worship aside, I was beginning to become rather irritated with Flora's petty behavior. And I saved her life not 2 days ago. Forgive me my pride, but I'd rather think I would have been justified in expecting a little bit of contrition. I still have a lot to learn. It's good for me to touch a lot of things to get a feel for how everything works outside of my cell.
Right.
I would appreciate some silence. A lot of papers to sort through.
What is it you do again, Eustace?
Shush!
Flora fell silent, but I could see her sulking. Occasionally, she would sigh loudly in a plea for attention. I tried to focus on my tasks. I described the night of Flora's injury as best as I could. I omitted the supernatural truth in favor of the tangible details. We all searched for Sister Flora. At night, I heard a terrible sound. I followed the noise and discovered Sister Flora running through the hall. Her leg got caught in the upstairs door and was broken. It wasn't the entire truth, but it was, at the very least, not a lie. I could rest somewhat easy with that. Glanced over my desk at Flora. She was still looking huffy, arms folded across her chest. I marveled at her for a moment. Her? I thought to myself. She could bring about something as terrible as that beast in the hallway?
Do you need something?
Oh, no.
Oh. Just, you were gawking at me all weird like.
I'm just happy that you're safe.
Yeah?
Yes, of course I am.
So am I.
We all are.
Funny, doesn't feel like it.
What do you mean by that?
Seems like everyone's sick of looking after me already. It's not like I asked for it.
You've still got a leg because of me. Did you know that?
I could hear Eustace tapping Flora's metal boot with her quill.
Sure, just, you lot have to push me all about now. I can hear people whispering. I'm not stupid.
I doubt it's about you. It was hard trying to talk someone out of the same thoughts I had every day, especially when I knew for a fact that Flora was correct. I remembered the looks Margaret had shot me, and how exasperated Moira had seemed after trolleying Flora around for a spell. I mean, yeah, people grouse because, you're not in a good mood about it, but they still do it, right? And if nothing else, that is, truly caring about you. The fact that you're a little bit annoying and they still do it anyway. Right? You can't... It's one of the... you can't change how people react to things on their first blush. If someone's annoyed with you, they're going to be annoyed. But them deciding to help out anyway says a lot more about what, how much they actually do care. Right? If anyone was truly annoyed, they could have just hoisted it off on someone else or something like that. And some of them have, but Eustace didn't do that. Eustace is like, yeah, no, I'm gonna... Flora might be a little annoying, but it's our turn. And that helped, that... I bet she could have easily argued to the superior that, no, we can't have Flora in there. It needs to be quiet in order for Hedwig and I to do our work, but she didn't. And that's worth something. Even if Flora can't really see it at the moment.
Yep.
And I had my own dark suspicions, of course.
Like I said, I'm not stupid.
You'll be fine. Maybe it's time to take up a hobby.
Well, I've been enjoying reading, but apparently that's annoying to some people around here, honestly. You'll learn to read, my uncle said. A monastery will make you clever. Never mentioned that the other sisters might not want you to read their precious books.
What? What are you talking about?
Catherine, too, used to let me read loads of cool stuff.
Oh, get down from the cross, Flora.
Eustace!
Don't you start.
I'll get off the cross if you let me choose a bloody book.
I said you could pick anything you like from that shelf.
What about the other shelves?
There's more books on that shelf there than most people in this country see in their whole bloody lives. Surely you're not too good for...
She paused.
Linbarrow Abbey.
Book of the City? Or is that what that is?
Urbani does seem to mean city. Book of the City. Let me...
Cities? Is that genitive plural?
Listen, if you think I still remember. Book of the Civilized Man.
Of the Civilized Man. Okay, so no, it was not.
Also known as Urbanus Magnus, or Civilized Man. By Daniel of Beckley. Just this dude named Daniel! Sweet. Is believed to be the first English courtesy book, or book of manners, dating probably from the beginning of the... Oh! Eustace is throwing shade.
That's funny.
Oh, I just got... That is some 15th century shade right there. Oh, Eustace. That is really funny.
What is that?
A poem about proper manners for gentlemen.
That sounds fucking boring.
It's 200 years old.
That sounds even more boring.
It's history.
You'll be history when I get out of this chair.
Hedwig, are you finished with your work for the day?
Yes, as a matter of fact.
Good. Do you mind taking Flora for a lap around the cloister?
Anything's better than this.
Very well. I closed my book and put away my quill and ink, then hastily made my way over to Flora's wheelbarrow.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. And thanks for nothing, Eustace.
So, just to be clear, I don't need upper body strength to move this, right? I tried to cart Flora out of the library as fast as I could, but I wasn't quick enough to avoid one more spiteful exchange. Eustace shot Flora a nasty glance from behind the piles of paper on her desk as I repositioned the barrow. Flora returned fire by sticking out her tongue quite rudely. Getting Flora through doors was rather unwieldy, and the barrow itself was heavier than I had expected.
Honestly, what's her problem?
I think she's just very busy.
That's what I don't get. If she hates me so much, just let me muck around out of sight. There's loads of books in there. Those shelves go on for ages.
I think she's just very particular.
Don't I know it?
I wheeled her toward the stairs around the stairs to the cloister.
Careful going down these. Margaret goes much too fast, and it's hell on my bum.
You're gonna go about as fast as my upper body strength will allow. Of course.
Wait, was I wrong? Oh, Flora's sprite doesn't flip the leg. I thought it did for some reason. I was wrong. Me of a couple episodes back was absolutely wrong and wasted your time. Anyway, no way to tell which leg of Flora's is broken. Could be both.
How's the wheelbarrow?
How is the wheelbarrow?
Flora, you're gonna have to work with me here.
Do I like being in a wheelbarrow? What the fuck do you want me to say?
Forget I asked. It was a silly question.
Too right. It's better than the alternative, I suppose.
Better than being dead.
Yeah. You think that thing would have killed me?
We had made it downstairs. Luckily, there was nobody around to hear our conversation. I think it might have killed us both.
Yeah.
We trundled along in silence. I had no real idea what to say. I was shaking. I felt tired. I felt exposed to the elements and weathered. There was simply too much going on, and I was pushing a potential devil worshipper around. I wanted to ask the Lord for strength, but that felt like pushing my luck. And after yesterday's antics, I was lucky I wasn't being smited where I stood. Instead, I tested the waters with Flora. Perhaps I could solve at least one riddle while I had her alone. Do you know what that thing was?
I have a guess.
Well, what's your guess?
I think it's Catherine.
With a C, importantly.
With a
C. In this case, it is very important.
My blood ran cold. As in?
Dead Catherine, yeah.
What makes you think that?
Makes sense, I suppose. I heard the other sisters talking about your prank. Only it wasn't a prank, was it? You saw it too. She would have been upset with you, I think. For taking over her work.
Flora does seem to at least... Flora is indeed talking about seeing something along with Hedwig here.
Mm-hmm.
However, I would like to put a word of caution on that. She only seems to talk about these things privately with Hedwig, with no one else around. Which means that we have to take Hedwig's word, like, it's only Hedwig's word against Flora's that these conversations happen. The way Hedwig says they do.
To be fair, it's Hedwig's word that any of this happened.
I guess that... Right, which is also true. So... I don't know. I'm wary of the possibility that there's a version of this where Hedwig is putting words in Flora's mouth to help sell her own narrative. But that's a thought for a different day.
She wouldn't have to wait for Flora to be alone with her to do that. She could put words in everyone's mouth at all times. She's the one with the privilege of telling us the story.
True. But we also don't know who else, in the time that she is recounting this story, was also there to share their version of the events.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know if she is the only person who gets to tell this story, or if someone else, like maybe Adela, is out there and can have her own and has her own version of events.
I meant no disrespect.
Sure, but ghosts don't know that, do they? Anyway, weird stuff has happened here before, but you and me seeing the same thing, it just makes sense to me.
So, let's say she was upset with me and wanted to, punish me. How would she show herself to you as well?
Dunno.
She was tensing up. You can't think of anything?
Nah.
For what it's worth, Flora just seemed pretty confident that it would be Catherine with a C, which is I don't know. It's not a bad guess, but she's very confident about it. So I very much think she's lying here.
When you were missing, what happened when you saw the ghost? Never got a chance to ask you exactly how everything, happened.
Well, I had a secret project going on back there. In the walls,
Margaret used to show me secret passages
Margaret used to show me secret passages she knew about, and I'd explore them when I wanted to be alone.
My bad.
And I was doing something in that passage near your old haunt.
What was it?
Nothing important. It was silly. Just an art project.
Flora. All my hairs were standing on end, but I reasoned, rather cruelly, that I was in no physical danger from this teenaged cripple. I have seen your little project. I think I know what it was. Flora was quiet for a moment. Margaret showed me those passages as well. And, showed me the carving.
Yeah?
Yes.
Huh.
Did the ghost come out of it?
No.
We kept rolling along the path around the cloister. I could see Flora shaking.
I don't think it could have. I know this seems bad, but I don't think they're related.
What was the spell? Or whatever it was? What was it meant to do?
Not that. Nothing like that at all.
She had sunk low into her pillow. We did some more laps. I don't remember how many it took until she spoke to me once more.
Not that I think they're related, but maybe I could fix it. I must have just gotten a detail wrong. Just in case it is my fault, it might, send it back.
So in this version of events, Flora thinks she's summoned the spirit of Catherine, who, okay, I guess I can believe that because she is lonely and Catherine was the only one that she seems to think treated her with any kind of respect. And Catherine came back wrong. And according to what we're seeing right now, that is Flora's understanding of events. Is that right?
I don't know that she's told us that was the intention for this.
You're right. I am kind of reading between the lines here. She at least thinks that she was something she did. She is responsible for it, and it's related to messing up something on a carving project she was working on, and thinks that if she does it right, maybe it'll send it back.
I did not follow her logic. Perhaps this was thinking that made sense to people who read Inferno or other bits of frivolous entertainment. To me, it was nonsense. And so when I informed her of the reality of this situation, her reaction baffled me. It's gone, I'm afraid. That wall collapsed overnight.
You're joking.
I am not.
Flora was just working on whittling. The wall collapsing is entirely unrelated, and beneath it is just a bunch of shattered wood sticks that... No, I was getting better at it.
I was gonna carve a duck call.
What? Why would you need to call them? Those foul beasts are everywhere. I am not...
You're joking, and it's not very fucking funny.
I really am not. Flora tilted her head back and let out a horrible wail. I shrunk. Surely the whole abbey had heard her, and we would be inundated with attention soon.
It's just gone?
Yes. Perhaps we should talk about something else.
It's gone.
Sure enough, the other sisters began to appear. To my chagrin, Adela emerged from the stairs to the cellar.
Sister Flora, are you well?
Flora was sobbing quietly to herself, but nodded.
Just sick of this bloody wheelbarrow. Oh dear. Is Marta down there today? Not at the moment. Can I come sit in the cellars with you for a bit?
Adela glanced at me quickly.
Of course. Would you like me to take it from here, Sister Hedwig?
I had no intention of abandoning you.
You wouldn't be. I just want a change of scenery.
I gripped the handles of the wheelbarrow tightly.
All will be well, Sister Hedwig, truly.
I don't doubt that, only I was not sure what I was feeling. I relinquished my grip on the barrow.
Well, as if we needed more confirmation, Flora doesn't want to be around Marta. Right?
Mm-hmm.
We kind of knew that, but, hearing it again helps solidify that.
Adela took the handles from me and began making idle conversation with Flora as they departed somewhat awkwardly down the stairs. I was left alone in the cloister, although it was not for long. The fear and revulsion I had been feeling in Flora's presence was slowly fading, being replaced with pity. Was she feeling fear and revulsion because she believes Flora summoned a devil? Is that what's causing her fear?
That is what she had been worried about.
Yeah, I just want to make sure I was reading it right.
As nonsensical as it seems, her reaction had me somewhat convinced that she had not intentionally unleashed a beast upon the Abbey. Whether she had unintentionally done so remained to be seen. Given the state she was in, however, that was a conversation that would have to wait. Footsteps echoed throughout the passage, and I turned to see who else had heard Flora's cry.
Hedwig, did I hear Flora a moment ago?
Yes, but not to worry. I think she was just upset about her situation. She's going to accompany Adela in the cellar for a little while. Help with the sherry, I think.
Oh, that's good. I heard her screaming and was worried something had happened to her leg.
No. She's just sad, I think.
Good.
And what you saw was a devil, right, Flora? Press. Ah!
I mean, I don't think it's good that she's sad. Just that it's not in my purview. I can heal bodies, but not hearts. I was terrified I could have set the bone wrong or that an infection was starting to hurt.
It's nothing like that as far as I know.
Oh, well then. How are you, Hedwig?
Wait, when they eventually take the boot off and it's gonna... Wait, are they gonna be able to take it off eventually?
Yeah?
Right, because they slid her leg in there, right? A part of my brain was like, they welded her leg in there. It ain't Amber coming off. And I'm like, that doesn't... Hold on.
Finished with work for the day?
I am, as a matter of fact. When I wrapped up, Eustace wanted me to take Flora out of the library for some fresh air. And then she just became overwhelmed.
Who could blame her?
Oh, indeed. What about you, Moira? Done for the day?
Oh, goodness, no. I'm all over the place today. Darcy needed some help with her plants, and I was actually just on my way to inspect some of the food stocks.
Inspect?
Just to see if it's all still edible. Catherine used to be a bit paranoid about food, and I guess it stuck.
Oh, goodness.
And then I've got letters to write. Oh, so much going on.
Letters to write? To whomst? To whomst, Moira?
Letters?
Oh, the Superior has me handling some official correspondence.
That is the first we've heard about that. Interesting.
She's got her hands full with the bishop here, so I've got to reach out to the diocese and various benefactors. Budget things, quite boring.
That sounds so stressful.
Too true. I have a minute, though, if you'd like to chat.
I considered for a moment. It was beginning to get difficult keeping track of who I needed to ask what, and what suspicions I needed to be careful of. Yeah, I would like that.
Moira beamed.
Moira beam.
Then gestured toward the chairs that Marta and Charity had often sat in, just across the cloister.
Over there?
Lovely. We made our way to the seats and made ourselves comfortable. The air was cool and pleasant. The rain was letting up. Moira let out a heavy sigh as she lowered herself onto the chair. For a moment, I sensed the true weight of the work she took on. Moira! She says her name like a Pokemon. Moira! Moira! Her chipper self returned in an instant, however.
So, how was your little fish fry-up last night?
Eventful.
Oh, that doesn't sound like Eustace. I would have expected it to be rather quiet.
It was at first, I suppose. Darcy and Adela showed up eventually, though.
Oh, how fun. What did you all get up to?
I met Moira's innocent gaze. There wasn't a hint of sarcasm or euphemism in her tone. She was as bright-eyed and friendly as always. I hadn't entered this conversation with any intent of telling her the truth, but I broke down into tears almost instantly upon looking at her face. I felt like I had looked straight into the sun. I couldn't possibly lie, and I had sins to confess. And she looked taken aback.
Hedwig, did I say something?
No. Yesterday, Darcy kissed me. She said it was an accident, but I was still so confused. And then at the bonfire, Adela put her hand on my leg.
Oh, that's rather normal. I do realize that must have been quite a shock, though. I'm rather surprised, to tell you the truth. I was under the impression everyone was going to try and...
There was a betting pool!
Ease you into that knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Ease? I was certainly not eased.
That sort of behavior, the touching and so on, is rather common here.
Common?
Yes.
I don't know what to think about it, really. I've been running through the scripture in my head, and I cannot find anything to hold on to that says, no, that is wrong. But it certainly doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel like it's in the spirit of the scripture. I know that Aquinas certainly wouldn't approve. He's far cleverer than I could hope to be.
It felt wrong to you?
I wouldn't let a man touch me in that manner. If it would be wrong with a man, then it would be wrong with a woman. Perhaps more so, but I'm not sure. A new sin. Actually, I would respect Hedwig more if it was just, no, I don't want anyone touching me. Man or a woman. Like, I would respect that more. It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, your body, your choice. One not recorded yet, but it feels self-evident.
Oh, Hedwig, I think you'll find this has been recorded plenty of times.
What? Could I see? For learning? Also, to step back, I think what might be happening here is Hedwig's having a reaction a lot of people do to stuff, to things like that for the first time, which is where they have a guttural negative reaction or something of revulsion, right?
Yeah.
And then they take that feeling of revulsion and then surmise that, oh, if that's how I felt, then therefore it must be immoral. Otherwise, why would I be feeling this way? Which I think is what Hedwig is trying to explain by, like, I can't think of scripture, but surely this isn't right. Weirdly enough, you could ask people today and they could tell you scripture about it, though, so...
Wait, what?
People love to quote scripture about how homosexuality bad.
And yet, which of it specifically talks about women?
That is true. That is true. That is true.
It's the mentions, insofar as there are any, are rather limited and arguably rather up to interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Hedwig's not wrong when she says she can't find a specific biblical condemnation of it in the sense that she could say, you know,
don't eat shellfish.
I was going to say other things like, you know, murder and all of those other things that are clearly condemned, but yes.
was really confused when they got to the part about the AK-47s. I haven't even seen AKs 1 through 46. I saw Moira nod deeply, slowly, deep in thought.
You would make a very interesting theosopher. I certainly understand what you mean. I must admit, it took me a long time to come around to the idea.
Do you, partake?
That's a very private question, Hedwig. But I would wager everyone else here does. Well, not Flora. That was an interesting time.
Whoa, what?
When we took on such a young oblate, everybody vowed to keep it all a bit more quiet, so to speak.
Okay, I can get that, because it's like, okay, maybe this isn't in good taste around. Because how young would a Flora been when she came here, right?
I don't recall if we know, but a child.
Yeah, exactly, so.
For a while, it was rather out in the open.
Really?
We kept the superior in the dark, of course, but you know how hands-off she can be. Laura's arrival prompted a bit of a reevaluation.
Only the superior kept in the dark, huh? Not Angela. Angela just knows.
I mean, to be fair, Angela does just know, and she's pissed about it. She's made no bones about that.
She is pissed about Catherine banging the men that come to visit. She has said nothing about homosexuality.
Am I remembering the superior condemning it as a den of sodomites, then?
I think this... Maybe?
Either the superior or Angela explicitly condemned the...
I remember the superior did.
Okay.
But I could be wrong about that. Someone can check. Someone will fact check us, I'm sure. But that was back in Volume 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because she was so young?
Yes, that and... Honestly, you're not the only one who felt conflicted. You heard the superior speak of fresh starts in the chapel. The conversation then was not too dissimilar.
But everyone still, eventually?
Of course they did. It's never reached the real bacchanalia that it did before Flora arrived, but... I don't know, to tell you the truth. It's not like there's much else to do around here.
Wow! It's never quite reached the bacchanalia? What was Linbarrow like before Flora arrived?
A den of sodomites.
Apparently. All right, Moira, if that...
What a strange way to see things.
It felt quite natural to us.
Is that the only thing that felt natural?
Why, I feel like I need to set you up for a joke here, so...
I don't know what it is, but something about this screaming that there's a punchline here.
Being affectionate with the people around you comes naturally after a while. I don't know. If you leave a bunch of sweets in the same box, they'll eventually melt together.
I wouldn't know. I don't think I've ever had a box of sweets.
I fed you one of those candied fruits when you fainted. Was that your first?
I shook my head. You're asking if I have a full inventory of everything I've ever eaten, then I'm afraid I'm lacking.
We must treat you to some of the sweeter things in life. In sex as well as the culinary arts.
Both equally important. This chapter is everyone just trying to be the one to get Hedwig to eventually be gay, huh?
Come on, Hedwig. Be gay. Do nun crimes.
You've spent so long deprived.
I'd rather be deprived than depraved.
Moira chuckled ruefully. Also, good on every single one of the other nuns here understanding where Hedwig's revulsion is coming from. And rather than, like, getting angry and dismissive of her, taking it in stride and explaining it to her.
Yeah.
Like, they obviously don't owe her that, but, you know, it's good on them for recognizing that she's the one who has lived, breathed, and slept, you know, prayer and devotion to God every day, 24 hours a day, every day for the past 20-ish years of her life.
Hedwig, save that one for your book. Listen, if you don't mind my asking, could you see yourself ever opening up to any kind of tenderness?
I inhaled, preparing to answer in the negative. But Moira's expression changed suddenly, and I realized somebody must be behind me. I stopped just in time.
Sister Margaret, what can we do for you? Do nothing. I just wondered if I could have a chat as well. Certainly.
Oh, yay. The more the merrier. She gestured to the third chair, still empty.
Moira Veem versus Margaret Pout. Who's going to win?
Margaret sat down and patted her knees.
So, I'm assuming we're talking about the clock tower?
Moira shot me a glance.
No, actually. Oh, well, that's what I came to talk about.
Good, because I want to know what people think about it.
Of course. I love that we're now in the gossip circle. So now we're not even asking about any of these things going on. Everyone's just coming right out and volunteering it to us.
Right. I think at some point there was like an unspoken agreement among the nuns that like, okay, training wheels are off. First one to bed Hetty wins the wet betting pool.
How do we feel about it?
No opinion, really. Hedwig?
I am afraid it's been the least of my concerns. Am I meant to have an opinion on it?
Not if you don't want to. Everyone else is going to have one, though.
Why is that?
Well, I'm sure you know this isn't the first time Soup's tried to get one built.
Did we ever know what happened to the last one?
Last time it went rather poorly.
Right. Do we know why it went poorly last time? We know it's in ruins now, so something went wrong, but before this point, had we been told why?
I don't know.
Okay.
Me and Catherine.
With a C.
Me and Catherine with a C, rest in peace. Tried to warn her. By the time we'd convinced her, it was too late. Yes.
Now she's doing it again, and I don't know. It's these sound.
Oh, that's probably Margaret.
That's not a Hedwig line.
Now she's doing it again, and I don't know. It certainly sounds like she's trying for another rush job.
So Margaret's implying that it happened the first time because it was a rush job.
And now it's another rush job.
Yep.
It's honestly ridiculous. I think that's why I haven't really put much stock in worrying about it. Unless she enlists an army, there's no chance it gets finished before Christmas. Indeed.
Margaret looked oddly grim. Moira reached out to squeeze Margaret's shoulder reassuringly, and I felt a strange spike of jealousy. She clearly knew something I didn't. For a moment I felt as if my chair was being dragged away from the two of them. That I had no closeness to Moira nor Margaret. That I was an outsider after all.
I do hope the build goes smoothly, and that nobody gets too worked up about it. At the end of the day, the tower sounds like it's getting built. Hopefully Eustace can accept that.
Why doesn't Eustace want a clock tower?
I think it's less about the clock tower and more about preferring peace and quiet.
Really? That's the reason?
To be fair, she's said pretty explicitly that she's only here because of the peace and quiet.
That is true. She did say that.
Just another one of Eustace's weird insistences.
And she's worried about a little, like... She's worried about a couple of bells every hour.
I mean, a months-long infrastructure project with people swarming the Abbey.
Plus, see, I didn't.
Plus, allegedly making the place a beacon in the cold mountains of the north that travelers would stop at all the time, and blah blah blah. Like,
got it.
Maybe she is worried less about the clock tower and more about what's the whole plan means.
Right, I got it. As a. Because it is seeking to revitalize the Abbey, then implies that it's going to try to draw more traffic and people there. And that threatens Eustace's quiet solitude.
Yep.
Okay, I'm with you now. I'm back on page.
I enjoy her company, but she can be a real ass.
Moira chuckled, patted Margaret's shoulder one more time, and then stood up.
I'm afraid I really must be getting back to work. I've letters to write. Gotcha. Have a good one.
Bye.
She drifted away. Margaret sat back in her chair and exhaled deeply.
Hey, Hedwig.
Yes?
Want to go smash something?
And that seems like a good a place as any to
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's a great chapter name. Let's go ahead and drop a hot save. Oh, that's good. We'll see you all next time, everyone. Bye.
Peace.
Smash that like, comment and subscribe.